President Trump was adamant that that LIV is here to stay, and if that's the case, I mean they'll lose another $1 billion, another billion here or there. I may or may not have told you about, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I played with President Trump, and the whole day we talked about LIV, and one of the things he said to me, which he said, look, I know you and I, he was pointing at me, he goes, I know we disagree on LIV. He goes, but let me tell you why LIV is going to stick around. He said, first of all, Yasser, the gentleman who runs the PIF, he said, first of all, he loves golf more than you and I do. And I didn't interrupt him, but I was like, I don't know about that. You play golf every day. I think about golf every day, but okay, I'll let him go. Yeah. He goes, he loves golf more than you and I do. And he said, second of all, he said they have $32 trillion worth of money in oil underneath that sand. 32 trillion. That was the number he threw out. I don't know where he got the number, but I would imagine his resources are a little better than mine. Well, and so $32 trillion. He said, and he goes, and they absolutely need to diversity their economy for
that is without question.
That's without question.
They know that.
For very, very specific geostrategic and also long-term political reasons. So he goes, they're not going to abandon LIV. They're going to stick around. They're going to figure it out. Maybe they improvise. Maybe they make changes. Maybe they make the changes they need to be competitive with the PGA Tour, which would be having a Q school, trying to develop their own stars, which would be funding women's golf all over, which would be trying to create some organic way of developing golf within Saudi Arabia, which would be having a huge philanthropic arm, which would be changing the policies in their country that are still medieval, so the West wouldn't have to be aghast that they are funding the game of golf. I mean, there's a lot of things they would have to do on the way for us to sort of go, okay, we're somewhat amenable to medieval policies in their country funding this game, but that's a long way to go, and they don't seem amenable to doing any of those things.
Well, if they want to, I'd suggest two countries, Sweden and South Korea. They want to learn how to develop golfers. Sweden is a powerhouse, man, from a tiny Nordic country where it's freaking snow covered 8 months out of the year. They crank them out.
You know what they have in Sweden?
Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have that. And
South Korea, the same thing.
And in Saudi Arabia, they don't have that. And they also have incredibly cheap golf in Sweden, and they do everything they can to empower as many people as they can in Sweden. I mean, Sweden disproportionately produces great players. So does South Korea for a little bit different reasons, and Australia disproportionately produces great golfers. But you're talking about countries with the freedom of the West, and when you're talking about those freedoms, you couldn't get farther away. There is a country there is a company that rates countries on a democratic index, and they rate 172 countries, and Saudi Arabia is 172nd. 172nd in the world. I mean, it's behind Syria, it's behind China. It's behind some absolutely appalling regimes. So, there's no organic way I see for them to develop golf in their country. Tell me who won the Saudi Arabia Amateur last year. I must have missed that one. Don't know about that one.
We definitely missed the women's amateur for sure.
Yeah, didn't see that one. But again, President Trump was adamant that LIV is here to stay, and if that's the case, I mean they'll lose another $1 billion, another billion here or there, but they'll make another push. They'll try to poach some more players. I know a few players that they're trying to poach, and but they're not big stars. There's somebody with just like a hint of being a star. They're coming along, and yeah, they'll throw 20, 30 million at them, or 10 million at them, and they'll get them to bite. And what will happen to that player is that they will become anonymous, and they won't be playing against the best competition, and so their game will begin to deteriorate.
Yeah.
It won't develop.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes recently when Phil was talking about, I feel so much more relaxed at a LIV Golf than I do at a PGA Tour event. Yeah, because it's not real competition. Like, I feel much more relaxed when I'm playing with my buddies than I am in the member guest at Scioto, like I was last week. It's a different level. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, well, Roger Mobby has a great line that golf is only hard when you care.
Yeah.
And I guess we could have a sort of a different take on that.
Well, then I fucking care all the time because it's hard.
Right. I can say that golf really only matters when people care.
Yeah.
And by Phil saying he's relaxed out there, I think just underpins the fact that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter to. I mean, if we can read between the lines, and by the decaying games of everybody out there, with the exception of Bryson, you can say clearly it doesn't matter to them.
By the way, I do, you do have to sort of give a shout out to Bryson here. Like, to your point, like, Rahm has not been able to sustain himself through 4 rounds at a major when he was, as our good friend Justin Ray called him, the destroyer of worlds, when he was world number 1 after winning that Masters, his second major. Like, no one was better at finding a way to figure it out at that time than Jon Rahm. And all those guys, since outside of Bryson, have not figured out a formula to be competitive. So you do have to tip your cap on some level to Bryson, because he's managed to find a way to make it work where no one else has found a way to make it work.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like he suddenly got better when he went to LIV. He got better when he...
No, he just found a way to stay.
When he
and that, like you said, you talked about the decaying games. Everyone else's game has gone that way. He's found a way to keep it. And that in itself, I think, is a victory.
Look, I think Bryson is a compelling watch. But the idea that he's must-watch TV is poorly founded.
Yeah.
I mean, the ratings nobody runs to watch TV when he's leading the LIV event. Yeah. Nobody cares to watch him then. They don't. But when he's going head-to-head against Rory,
right,
or head-to-head against Scotty Scheffler, yeah, they tune in.
Yeah.
Are they tuning in for Bryson, or are they tuning in for Rory? Or are they tuning in for Bryson, or are they tuning in for Scotty Scheffler? They watch to the tune of 3.5, 4, 5, 6 million people, if it's Masters or more, when Rory and Scotty are playing. It's 50,000 to maybe 450, 500,000 when Bryson and Rahm and Brooks and DJ are going head to head. It's, if it were a fight, they'd stop it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Look, it's just interesting because, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just really curious how long they're going to try and figure this thing out, because to me it's pretty clear. Again, no one's denying that they have good golfers. The product is just not something people find sustainable or interesting, and we'll see what happens going forward. And I figured you were the perfect guy to talk to.
It's hurting all of them, but Bryson. I mean, it's clearly hurting all of them. It was good to see Jon Rahm back playing some pretty good golf this year, but even if you look at what he did this year, it's nowhere in comparison to pre-LIV departure for Jon Rahm.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So we'll see how it plays out. Listen, I always appreciate the time, brother, and I will find another reason to rope you in to talking to me about golf again, because apparently my audience is starved for it.
Good to see you, Trey. Well, they know you love the game, and you do.
I was about to say, I couldn't quit the game if I've tried, and I've tried.
Exactly. And I've tried too, by the way.
I've tried. It is not happening.
All right, man. Good talking to you, Trey. Congrats on your success with this show, buddy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.